Everyone. Um, okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Gokul Patnaik. Yeah, I'm going to speak on. I'm going to speak on how not to be an exporter. Okay,
Yes, sir. Please proceed, sir.
an agriculture exporter. Okay,
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
now all of us know that India is a major producer of agriculture commodities. We are number one producer in milk, pulses. We are number one in the world in milk, spices, and we are also number two in rice, wheat, cotton, sugarcane, fruit and vegetables, etc. But are we an exporter? We are not a significant exporter. We do only 1% of the world trade. We contribute only 1 to 2% of the world trade. As you are aware, India has only 2.4% of the world's land. And 4% of the water. And 4% of the water. But it supports almost 18% of the world's population. It is a big task for the country to support its own population. Export will always be second preference. We really started exporting agriculture commodities in the late 90s. Before that, we were known as an importing country, and we used to, as they say, we used to live from ship to mouth. A lot of foreign aid, like PL 480, others were given to India as a deficit country and to save. In the 90s, we became self-sufficient in food grains and started exporting a little. In the first decade of 21st century, we started exporting even cereals. For a long time, our major exports was rice, both basmati and non-basmati, marine products, shrimps, and meat, basically buffalo meat. Our exports were about 30 billion US dollars per year. As the production went up and we became more confident, we had ambitious plan for doubling our exports. In fact, the Agri export policy tabled by Government of India in 2018 said that it was planned to double exports within 3 years. From 30 billion tons of $30 billion, it was expected to go up to $60 billion by 2022. However, a number of factors go into production and export of agriculture commodities. Weather and rainfall are basic. The similar agroclimatic situation in other countries, importing countries, also is a big factor in whether they will import or not. If there is no parity in prices, our exports become non-competitive. Therefore, in actual fact, after 2018, increase in exports was only marginal. In 17-18, financial year 17-18, we exported $33.87 billion worth of exports. In 18-19, it was 38.21. In 19-20, it was 38.54. 2021 it was 35.09. Twenty-one, 22 it was 41.25. That is the highest export of agriculture commodities we have reached so far. In 22-23, because of less production domestically, it came down, the export came down to 18.98. Government was also very sensitive to domestic prices and wanted to control inflation. So where we had exported 5 million tons of wheat in 21-22, in May 22, the government banned exports of wheat altogether. This was followed by a ban on the export of wheat products like atta, maida, etc. in August 22. Twenty-two, 23, there's a pressure on the price of rice in the domestic market. Because of uneven, irregular rainfall, government felt that there may be less production of rice. First, the export of broken rice was banned in September 22. The ostensible reason was that broken rice was necessary for production of ethanol for blending with petroleum products in India. In July 20th of July 2023, government banned non-basmati rice, white non-basmati rice altogether. The while parboiled rice and basmati was still allowed, in August 23, government imposed a 20% export duty on parboiled rice. This was further extended in August 28, 2023 by imposing an minimum export price on basmati. So In the year 2022, we had exported almost 10 billion tons, $10 billion worth of rice. In now the rice export is severely restricted, and therefore we are not likely to see much export of rice this year. The other major export last year was sugar, where we had exported in 21-22 more than $5 billion of $6 million, $5 billion worth of sugar. But this year, the government has imposed a restriction on export of sugar, restricting it to a total of 6 million tons. This is likely to continue for the next season also, where the indication are that not more than 4 million tons of sugar export will be allowed. On fruits and vegetables, as I had said earlier, India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables. We are the major supplier of onion to the world, and most of the Middle East countries depend on India, Middle East countries as well as Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia and the Philippines. To restrict the export of onion, government has introduced a 40% duty on export of onions as from August. This will be prevalent till December 23. In effect, this will make Indian onions uncompetitive and export will be severely limited. From all these export restrictions, what we'll find is that government has been switching on and off the export tap from time to time. Domestic market and inflation seem to be the major consideration, and the export and exports are secondary. This does not augur well well for India to be a reliable exporter. The importing countries want a reliable partner from whom they can import year after year. I remember that when I had taken an export delegation to the Middle East immediately after the Iraq war, all the importers asked me only one question. They said, will India continue to export even on other years, or are you exporting only because you have surplus? They said, if you have surplus this year and next year you don't have surplus, and we switch our import to India, next year what will we do? We have to assure them that exports will continue. In fact, for any country to be a stable, to be a reliable exporter, it is very important to have a stable trade policy. This is fully recognized by Government of India. I would like to read out a passage from the agriculture export policy of 2018. In para 5.1, the Ministry of Commerce has said that given the domestic price and production volatility of agriculture commodities, there has been a tendency to utilize trade policy as an instrument to attain short-term goals of taming inflation. Such circumstantial measures are often product and sector specific. For instance, the ad hoc ban on imposition of minimum export price for onion and non-basmati rice exports. This breaks export supply chains and affects India's image as a reliable supplier, affecting price realization for Indian produce. The country is seen as a source of high quality agriculture products, and changes in export regime on ground of domestic price fluctuations, religious and cultural belief can have long-term repercussions. Such measures require constant fine-tuning and keeps the market anxious, which often leads to price shocks. While these decisions may serve the immediate purpose of maintaining domestic price stability, they end up distorting India's image in international trade. They end up distorting India's image in international trade as a long-term and durable supplier. It is imperative to frame a stable and predictable policy with limited state interference to send a positive signal to the international market. It is necessary to refrain from making a distinction between the products meant for export and those for domestic consumption. One way to do this is to decide that export restrictions ban should be resorted to only in the rarest circumstances. This alone will provide the farmer some confidence to plan the overseas market. So, what the government has been doing is not adhering to its promised policy statement. At the slightest temptation or fear of inflation or price rise, it resorts to restrictions on exports. This is not good for exporters. It only serves the purpose of traders, occasional traders. So my advice would be that if India wants to be a long-term exporter, it must identify the commodities where it is going to have long-term surplus. Or identify certain quantities every year for export. The other way is to not to dabble with sensitive commodities, which is likely to affect local prices. But to get into high value products or processed products where the value addition is more than the raw material cost of raw material. In fact, it is a pity that India's agriculture products have always been of low value and the value addition is less than 50. In fact, if you look at the exporting countries, other exporting countries like the US or China, even in the US, the proportion of high value agriculture products in their total export basket of agriculture products is 25%. In China, it is 49%. So we have to aim at high value products and not continue with raw material primary products. We also should do more value addition or processing of agriculture products and try to export processed products rather than primary products. Looking at only primary products which are price sensitive and also have an impact on domestic market is will not have a stable, sustainable export basis. Okay, I'm prepared to take on any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for your informative talk. I'll take up the questions from the participants now. The first question is, how can farmers and agri entrepreneurs ensure they don't fall into the trap of selling raw, unprocessed commodities?
You have to choose your commodities carefully, look at the demand and supply position, and carefully study the market.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question, sir. What strategies should individuals adapt to add value to their agricultural products before export?
Normally, when we export primary products, it is not consumed as it is further processed in the importing country. So we should look at what kind of import. If we can do those processes in India itself and export quality products which are directly consumed by the consumer, of course, we have to be very careful about the quality because most of the importing countries, particularly Western countries, are very
Hello. Sir, we lost your audio, sir. Hello.
yeah. Yes. I don't know. There is a gap between what I'm saying and what is coming. Anyway, what I was saying is that we have to study the form in which it is consumed by the ultimate consumer in the importing country and copy those processes in India itself. We have to be careful about the quality because Western consumers particularly are very, very fussy about the quality and SPS standards.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
You can hear me?
yes, I can.
Sorry, sir, there was some technical issue. I'll move on to the next question, sir. What role does branding and marketing play in preventing agriculture commodity exports?
Branding and marketing play. Branding and marketing play a very major role. Almost, I should say, they're 100% value is added because they inspire confidence. I just visited a company in Holland, which is an Indian company producing a consumer product there. And what they're selling is that they're selling in their own brand, and that the selling price is almost twice as much as it would directly from India. And they're only doing the polishing and packaging there. But they're very, very careful about quality, and because they're being produced in Holland, Europeans have trust in their quality. Unfortunately, so far we have not been able to build that trust in anything that is produced in India.
Okay. Shall I move on to the next one, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. What risks are associated with relying solely on exporting raw agricultural products?
I think I was speaking only about the risks because the government, as I said, is very sensitive to consumer pricing and inflation. At the moment, there is a danger of price going up, particularly if there is election around, government immediately comes with a ban. Sometimes it is overreaction.
Okay. How can farmers and entrepreneurs access markets for value-added agricultural products?
for anything, you have to have a critical mass. So for an individual farmer, it may be difficult. I would suggest that you form groups. FPOs would be a good example. Or large cooperatives like Mahagrapes or Shayadri in Maharashtra. By combining the group of farmers, they have come up with a good critical mass.
I'll take up the next question, sir. What resources and support are available to help individuals avoid commodity export route?
Commodity
export route.
Government of India is coming out with a number of proposals, number of incentive schemes. The recent PLI scheme is one area. Where a product by increasing exports, by creating infrastructure and value addition, you can increase the volume of production.
Okay. What are the environmental and economic benefits of focusing on value-added agriculture instead of commodity exports?
See, on economic benefits, as I said, the value goes up. The cost of processing in India, fraction of the cost of processing outside. We are a low-cost producer as it is. Therefore, there will be a large economic benefit. Difference in cost is an economic benefit. On environment also, it is better that because in the production areas, if the value addition is done in the production area instead of urban localities, it will be better for the environment.
Okay. How can individuals stay updated on market trends to identify opportunities for value addition?
Nowadays, websites are available and one can do a search on the web also. Prices are also known. But practically, you'll have to do some test marketing. Then only you will be able to judge exactly whether the value added product will be.
Okay. What are the key differences in business models between commodity exporters and value-added agricultural businesses?
Commodity exports is primary products, which is almost not either not processed or only very minimally processed, like rice, wheat, etc. Value addition will be much more, will be tertiary production. That means goes into another stage, second stage of value addition.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We have now completed the round of questions. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, we like to thank Mr. Gokul Patnaik for the talk and for answering the questions. We like to also thank all the participants in the meeting. This meeting will now be closed. Sir, I'll end the meeting, sir. You can close it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.